Thanks for joining our session today. So I'm Raife, the CEO of Adzuna Australia and New Zealand. And for those of you who don't know, Adzuna operates in 16 countries. And uniquely here in Australia and New Zealand, we're actually in partnership with Fairfax, which enables us to access passive and active candidates across more than 150 websites. Now, why we're here today is because when we're out in market as such, talking to people like yourselves, we're constantly hearing all about AI, or do we know about AI and automation and how it's affecting your jobs? And the answer is yes, we do, because we're talking to many people like yourselves. But to help us today, we thought we'd enlist the expertise of a subject matter expert, Simon Townsend from 12-2, the principal and technologist there. Welcome, Simon.
Thanks, Hero.
Can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
So I've got a background in both recruitment and technology. And until recently, I've been, for the last 10 years, sort of working in innovation and innovation management, which meant not only helping people come up with and implement new ideas, particularly in HR and recruitment, but it was also around assessing new technology and keeping an eye on the market. And I was actually fortunate enough to work with Townsend Labs, who are one of the only incubators solely focused on HR tech, based out of New York. And I was one of their assessors looking at the latest and greatest in AI. So it's a little bit of a sweet spot for me, I guess.
Great. So look, the way we're going to tackle it today is just touch on 3 topics and do it by the way of little case studies. So we figured we'd start, the 3 topics will be, I'll put them up now, how AI or automation can affect diversity in your talent sourcing, then how the actual technology itself can lead to errors as well that you need to really watch out for. You may be cutting out candidates you need to get hold of. And third, the actual candidate experience itself, how adopting AI or automation into your processes can actually possibly alienate some of these candidates. So, all right, so let's touch on the first subject, which is diversity. Now, the case that I want to mention is, look, I've spoken to somebody we won't talk about right now, but look, they used AI to find candidates. And we all know how that can work, that you can program in the top traits of somebody. So in this example, it was, I think, somebody that had got top marks at school, gone to Sydney University, studied engineering, also got top grades there, went into their first job in structural engineering, and after 2 years got a promotion, and so on. So they programmed these traits into the bot, okay, which can obviously be used to search into your own database, but of course in real time go out across the web crawling, whether it be meetups or personal websites, etc., looking for these people with those common traits. But we all believe, or we know, I think now, that this can lead to some problems in diversity. So what's your thoughts on the pros and cons of using this method?
Well, absolutely. So anything that matches same to same and like to like, you're instantly in trouble in many ways, because do we want everyone in the organization to be the same? For a start, it's that simple. It's been proven time and again that through diversity, you get innovation, you get change, you get new ideas coming in, and people work better together. But even so, if you do want a predominantly similar workforce, you're going to end up not only with potentially gender and racial issues, socioeconomic issues, where you've got just the norms, everyone's the same across the board. It creates stagnation. You're not necessarily getting the best candidate or the best person out there. You're getting someone who's performed well in the past. It doesn't mean to say that there isn't someone else out there that would perform better. Being able to map traits, map backgrounds, all that sort of thing, it's really interesting, and being able to say there are 30 people out there who fit exactly this profile, and absolutely talk to them. But I would be very hesitant to use it as the sole basis of a search.
I guess the beauty of the technology, it can present those problems, but by tweaking it in real time, you can see that candidate pool, I guess, grow or shrink, right? So you should be tempted to make sure you put in different traits of these people, I think, right? So expanding it out. Same is not always best.
No, absolutely not. As long as people are willing to actually play around and change the criteria and see what that does to the talent pool, that's interesting, and that makes a difference. I guess one of the one of the major concerns I have around diversity and any AI or machine learning platform is that we don't know what inherent biases the programmer or the developers had when they were creating the software. So there may be, it's not even so much ones that are within your organization or the way you're looking for people, or the strings you put in, but actually right down in the code. And that code we can't get to, you can't look at. These are the algorithms and they're protected, that's their IP. But how do you know it's not cutting out people based on their name or cutting out people based on where they were born? Unlimited number of factors that could be an issue. And you never know unless you actually get in and understand it. And who's got a PhD in machine learning to actually understand this stuff? That's something that you really need to look for.
Okay, so I guess what we're saying here is that inherently in the code itself, there can be a problem. So you should, if you're going to use this type of software, make sure you're casting it a little bit wider.
Yeah, I think
secondly,
on that, just using multiple pieces is probably a good thing. Because the other thing is, I've been doing a bit of sort of executive search headhunting recently, just keep my hand in and keep assessing the various tools. And I found that if you run, I'm not going to name names, but running sourcing tools to identify people was identifying a pool of, let's say, 50 people that would meet the criteria. If I went out and did sort of the old school Boolean sourcing and the various other techniques that I used to use as an online sourcer, I was finding a pool where there was, say, 50 people, and there was a crossover of about 15, 20. It's not necessarily, you're searching in different pools, you're searching in different areas. So an inherent bias in the software could be just the sources that it's searching. So if it's only searching through LinkedIn, you're only going to get people who are in that space. If it's only searching through Twitter, et cetera, you're only going to get what the developers think was important.
But is it cost prohibitive to use multiple pieces of software for sourcing like that?
At scale, yes, I would imagine so for many people. Then again, it depends if you can, potentially reduce headcount. There's a large cost reduction there potentially, but most of them offer free trials, free test periods. At very least, they've got the information on the website, and you can go out to the various forums and sources and like Facebook and that sort of thing. Talk to the community who are using it and get an honest assessment from them, the actual end user. Incredibly important. So it doesn't matter what you're using. If you ask about it online in the right groups, there's going to be a bunch of experts that are going to tell you exactly what their use cases have been, how it's changed their recruitment processes or their sourcing processes.
Right. So I guess the message is cast that net wide yourselves before you jump into that software. And that brings us to, I guess, the second case study or piece of topic is how using this technology can lead to errors. So what we'll use here, sorry, skip one slide. What we'll use here is an example of our own software. We have a team of data scientists that build models for us. So, and one of our products is Value My CV, which allows the candidate, to come onto the site, upload their CV, and then the model basically tells them how much they're worth in the market, suggests other jobs based upon their CV, corrects mistakes, et cetera, et cetera. But to do that, we've got to use parsing technology at the top of the tree, right? So we're reaching in, and parsing that technology into the model as such. However, I can let you in a little secret, I guess, is that we've had about 100,000 CVs loaded since the beginning of the year, but 5,000 of those instantly get dropped through this parsing technology. So 5% maybe doesn't sound like a lot, but I think we all know, well, that's 5,000 CVs right there out of 100,000. But we know it can just take one good candidate, especially in the candidate scarce market, to make all the difference. So what's your opinion on this, the use of that technology, and how can we avoid maybe some of those pitfalls? And what have you seen in the market yourself?
No, that's another big issue. And just on Rate My CV, I was actually really annoyed because you got my value almost bang on, and I'm unique, I'm special, I'm innovation.
Aren't we all?
So it was within $2,000. Right, okay. It was really nice.
Very good to know.
So I've got a friend in particular, the case that I'm thinking of, he's in innovation. and his CV is amazing. It's infographics, there's stories, there's journey maps, there's all the things that make him an amazing innovation person. And it's got the stories of how he's helped grow multiple startups from zero to exit. His CV is not going to get passed by any of the ATSs that I know.
Oh, okay. Right.
Because it's pictorial, because it's spread about in weird places. He has no chance. He's a fantastic candidate, but he will never be seen by the systems.
So that means you need to put a bog standard CV in, essentially, because you're wary of it throwing out if you put a little bit of coding in there or something to show your work, or I don't know.
Yeah, that's actually what I ended up advising him to do when I was out. Put at the end of it, here's just your old school standard CV.
Right.
And it's not just obviously parsing technology of CVs, it's all the way along the way. If there's one bit of error that makes the system scream, I don't get whatever that is, in order to stop it breaking, the software developers have to put in, well, if error, move to whatever and ignore that. So whether that's, again, it's something that pulls out and it's looking at your cloud scores combined with your disk profile or whatever it might be in an automated fashion, starts matching it in and says, actually, this person doesn't have a cloud score. What do I do then? It could essentially drop the entire person. So you're losing an entire person along the way.
Okay, I'm trying to think on the fly here to be smart. So maybe with candidate scarce, high level, well, maybe like data scientists, right? Because that's the rock star of the industry at the moment, right? So there's only a few of those around, really. So maybe for a process like that, you put them outside of the process because you'd only expect a minimal amount of CVs to come through. You don't want to lose them. What's a possible solution, you think? Is it old style?
That's an interesting thought. I like that. And it's almost putting executive search level techniques onto the roles that are more important, not necessarily at the executive level. So you're doing a more thorough search where you're using a multitude of tools plus humans. Artificial intelligence isn't there yet, and I used to be bothered by the difference between machine learning and artificial intelligence. I'm trying to get over it. But augmented intelligence is the key, I think, right now. So not necessarily trusting that the software does everything perfectly, because it won't. It's software, it will break or it will go down. But being able to wrap that into your best practices, identifying who those key hires are and putting special kid gloves on for them. Maybe you've got 100 hires a year, you've only got 3 data scientists that you're looking at. Focus on those and let the systems deal with the other volumes that you've got.
Recruiting,
So you can be smart about how you use it. And it's not that those people are any less important, but they're potentially less important for your business at that time. So understanding the reward and the risk and where you need to throw the human element to really ensure that you've found all the candidates and that they're being treated properly and they're not having a bad candidate experience because they're being thrown out or just ignored.
Well, I think that probably brings us to the next piece, right? Which is how can we, how's the candidate experience affected by AI? Now, I know that we're all in a bit of a rush to implement some of this technology. We don't want to get left behind, and it seems to be everywhere. But how's that going to affect the actual candidate experience? And we sort of touched on it here, I guess. But I mean, I don't know if anybody saw the news yesterday. I think it was with Telstra's chatbot, Cody. It was driving people crazy, I guess, and I think it did a lot of damage to Telstra's brand over the last couple of days, where the chatbot, I think, was not answering the questions or answering the question, all different questions the same way, etc. And nobody could get hold of an actual person to discuss this. So yeah, it was hit a lot of chat rooms yesterday all about that. So we've got to think that if you're implementing this type of software and there's a popular brand, I guess, or technology solution, and you're implementing the same one, are we now commoditizing the process that, especially with these rock star data scientists, whoever they could be, that you're looking to differentiate yourselves? Can you, if you're all using, auto scheduling and chatbots to answer simple questions, etc., and does the candidate not feel special? And then deviate towards maybe good old-fashioned human touch, speaking to a recruiter process, which could lock out some of the larger firms or larger recruitment agencies. Possibly thoughts on the candidate process?
The commoditization of the candidate experience is a really interesting line. I like that as a soundbite. I'm going to steal it. So if you look at chatbots in particular, top line around candidate experience, some people love them, some people hate them. So there's an interesting outfit company out of Hong Kong called TalkPush, who will create a chatbot for you in Messenger, Facebook, wherever you need it to be. It could be in Slack, it doesn't matter. As you interact with it, it does a little bit of an assessment of you. It says, are you interested in X role? If you are, do you want to talk to me now or later? If it's later, it's got the automatic scheduling. If it's now, it'll instantly call you, that sort of thing. And by no means the only one. I mean, you need to look at Olivia, you need to look at Maya. There's a whole bunch of them out there at the moment. It's just right. I know TalkPush from when they were dealing with the innovation labs. And the candidate experience for technology people, for people who were a younger demographic with a highly sort of technical background with technical skills, they loved it. Yeah, they didn't interact with someone. Yeah. They got to the point where they were running through, they had the automated phone call where it was a number of questions being asked that had been set by the recruitment team. The answers were recorded, turned into text and sent back, as well as video blocks, and it's an interesting platform. At the end of the phone call, 80% of the people that they were targeting in that particular demographic were saying, did I get the job? They were happy to be assessed completely without a human in the mix.
Wow. Okay.
That said, you see other things, and let's take video interview. So a one-way video interview where you're being recorded as you answer questions. Again, it completely divides people on a candidate experience. Some people absolutely despise it. Some people love it. It's okay. They can talk to the camera. They're happy to do it time shifted.
Sure.
So I think a lot of it depends on the roles and the pieces that where they fit the kind of demographic you're searching for.
Yeah. You're talking about age, right?
Well, so, it becomes very difficult.
We're talking about mature age workers now, and that means from age of 46 and over, right? So some of these may not be so technologically savvy or want to interact technology, right? And some of these will be applying for lower skilled roles, whether it be in retail or maybe they're actually senior roles because they are older now and have reached these positions and they don't want to or cannot do this. Yeah. So again,
potentially you're creating a huge hurdle for people that could be seen as a bias to the point where it's actually illegal. I mean, theoretically. So
because you're locking out a segment.
Absolutely, you're completely ditching a segment of people and saying, I'm not providing you an experience that is conducive to you getting the job.
This loops back to diversity, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
I feel like
it all ties
everybody who can do this or is that same type of talent.
Yeah. But the other element is around the candidate experience, is the actual interaction itself. So where you've got things like Cody throwing out the strange answers, that's okay and it's funny to a point, and people are willing to accept that, okay, we're trying something new, it didn't necessarily work, but not being able to get someone on the phone to say, give me the actual answer, that's a huge issue.
Yeah, I'll have an option, right?
Yeah.
So damage your EVP, I suppose, or just damage your brand, damage your hiring. Yeah.
Absolutely. And with again, back to the commoditization of the experience, I find that particularly fascinating as a line, because I've built a couple of chatbots a long time for various people, and it's hard. You have to have a lot of information that's pertinent to those people that you can train these chatbots with, that you can make sure that it understands what it's doing. But the basic hello, how you doing, what's going on set of responses, you can pick those up offline, but it's commoditized. It's the same experience that people are going to get on those chatbots.
Are there any good examples that you could send people to have a look at?
I would definitely be looking at the IBM chatbots. They're very quick and easy to get up and running. There's it'll come back to me in a second. There's a particularly useful one. Name escapes me. I'm sorry. I'll come back and I'll sort of pass some information about that. But yeah, there are a few in particular that are, if you're just looking for what is effectively a customer service bot.
Mm-hmm.
So that's something that people have spent a lot of money on.
Right.
So if you just want basic Q&A, here's point to the website, here's a bit of information, whatever it might be. They're not too hard to set up. He said it's not easy, but you can do that. If you're looking for a full end-to-end platform, then I would definitely be looking at Olivia. I would definitely be looking at Maya. I would definitely be looking at TalkPush.
Right.
And there's a few others as well. They're getting close to the point where it's not necessarily removing a recruiter, but it's removing the heavy lifting across a lot of the talent acquisition platform.
Yeah.
And that's what we're all after, right? It's actually, how do we embrace automation as it does the skills and the sets of tasks that are either onerous or difficult or repetitive to enable us to talk to the candidate, to provide them a better experience, to give them the right information, to talk to our clients and understand what the hiring manager's needs really are and provide them with a better situation, or work on the strategy of it. You know, what's the next step in the process? How do I develop the next piece? What's going to work best for us?
And technology is moving so fast. So would your advice be to anyone out there, do you go boots and all because it's going to modify on the fly and that will be great? Or do you hold off? How do you test
and iterate?
Yeah.
So as a design thinking proponent, it's all around identification of the problem, find a couple of potential solutions, test them small and iterate. So if you can throw just one role or one set of roles, if you've got repeat roles, through a process where you've got an automatic sourcing or top, a chatbot to reach out to them and do an initial screen, and at that point they come in to talk to a recruiter, or something to assess the
but always
CVs
give you an
up front.
option in these to
Absolutely.
to opt out and go speak
Absolutely.
to a person.
Absolutely. Especially I was going to say, especially if they're reaching out to you and your brand, but if you're reaching out, it's the same. Always have an option to, I need a hotline red button here.
Yeah.
And let's talk to the Kremlin type situation.
Sure.
But try it small. And I think that with the number of developers and platforms that are coming up out there, there's a lot of people who are willing to let you try and work with you and partner with you. It helps if you've got a great brand, Telstra or something like that. But even the smaller enterprises and down into the SMEs, there's always someone out there willing to partner and work with you. So it may not be Maya, because they've got some great traction in the market already, and they've got a product they've worked out. But if you look at the amount of money that's being tipped into startups in the tech recruitment space or tech HR space, literally hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars in the US in the last quarter alone. So there's people out there. Keeping track of them is hard.
Well, that's what I'm thinking. How do you know where to start? That's what, but I guess by
it helps to talk to a consultant who talks to those people.
True.
But no, it's understanding that they're all trying to get their product out there. So there are marketplaces and forums where they're trying to understand who their market is, being able to identify someone interesting who isn't just sort of cut and paste someone else's work, has something new to bring to the table. That's interesting, but it comes with a level of risk. So understanding your talent acquisition profile's risk appetite is important. And that's where I say, if you do it with just one role, you're actually minimizing the risk. And if you do it in conjunction with a standard process, so you put that same role through both a new process and your standard process, it's like A/B split testing, right? So you can actually assess them both and understand what works, and you do it at very, very minimal cost because you're only putting a toe in the water.
Well, I guess since we have you here, it'd be great if anybody's got any questions, please use your sidebar to give them, because Simon's right here, and he's online to answer any questions. So look, if you can submit them now, we'll have a look. But I think the key messages here is weigh up your options. Don't rush headlong.
Yep.
Maybe speak to a consultant, look at other companies, etc., to work out whether it's for you right now, and whether it suits your candidate journey or what your sourcing needs are. And maybe it's not a one size fits all. Maybe it works for one particular stream of people you're looking to hire, but not for others. And of course, the age and diversity can come into that as well. So, look, while waiting for that, we'll have a look for these questions. Just wanted to also reiterate, look, please, we're both contactable. So I'm simply Raife@adzuna.com.au. And if you have any questions on how Adzuna can help you, but so we're not a one-trick pony as such. We obviously have our site, but we're able to take your ads and look for that passive candidate. And I think some of this talk about AI is getting out of that traditional active candidate pool that's just on a job board or job site, and looking for them across other sites. And that's what we're able to do. Also displaying your brand across 100 different websites, whether it's the Fin Review or the Age, etc. We can find these candidates that may not necessarily be looking right now. So let's have a look to see also if we can find any questions on here. Oh, here we go. We've got one from Jeff, which says, I'm aware of Maya, but can you repeat the other bots mentioned?
Absolutely. So Olivia from Paradox Software. They all seem to be female names. I guess that's because anyway, there's a whole piece around diversity and how we should be naming things in there. And Talk Push. So Talk Push based out of Hong Kong, Paradox, and with their bot Olivia based out of the US, and Maya out of the US as well. There's also some really interesting stuff coming out of Israel. So it's one to keep an eye on if you're looking at for, and Australia, I should say. There's lots going on here. But if you want someone local, there'll be someone out at Chalk and Stone or one of the incubators,
right.
or whoever it might be. So there's always an option as well. You can sort of walk into one of those incubators or accelerators and say, I've got a problem, and there's 400 entrepreneurs will put their hand up and go, I can help with your problem. I will solve your problems. Australia's got a strong startup community.
Yeah. Okay. Now I've got another one here, which is what are the best responses to avoid when building the bot for a business? I don't know.
It depends on your brand. So when we developed the Twitter handle for Deloitte, it was we used the actual branding itself. So it was a round, fat, jolly green dot that rolled around and did fun things initially. I mean, that was our first thought when we were building the social media profile for it. And Deloitte was fun with serious intent. That was the element that we took.
I like that, fun with serious intent.
Yeah. So we took that and absolutely fed that into the social media handle. So when we interact with people, it was allowed to be a little bit cheeky,
right?
But it had to be very professional. It depends on your brand. If you've got, I mean, there's obviously things you can't ask someone's age necessarily. It depends on the area you're in. It's a bit of a minefield, but ensuring that whatever you do is going to hit your brand right and keep pushing that message and that branding out there. That's key to any questions that you develop. But would my brand, if I'm an insurance agency, is it okay for me to be asking people this question? Is the question you ask every time, which may well be different from a swim school or a childcare centre or whatever it might be.
Okay. I've got another one here. I'm not sure again if that reads right, but can you ask a bot that will expose that you are not speaking with the human? What do you think that means there?
A lot of the bots introduce themselves as bots these days. There's been a bit of a kickback against the faking it of I'm pretending to be a human. And it actually also leads to problems where if you think you're talking to a human and they start doing something strange, then you're left with a really weird, it's like the reality gap. which is interesting in cartoons. Anyway, side job. So you can always ask if you're typing. If you ask, "Are you human?"
Are you a robot or are you human?
Yeah.
Okay.
The vast majority of them now will respond with, "No, I'm not. I'm just learning to be a person," or "I live here in this space," or whatever it might be. So people have got canned answers for that.
And is that where it should say, "Do you want to speak to a human?"
Yeah,
or something?
absolutely.
Yeah, bang, yes.
Absolutely. Absolutely. That would be key. It becomes, I guess, harder when we get to the point where we're doing voice recognition and we're combining an old school IVR with a bot. So you're talking to someone and you don't know you're talking to them rather than typing to them, because it's difficult at that point to say, "Oh, sorry, are you actually a person?" Down the phone. That's hard.
Yeah.
And that's coming.
Yeah.
But when you're typing, it's fine to ask.
Right.
No one's going to be offended on the other end of the line.
Okay. No, I got another one here too, which is look, I also can see that some of you have had difficulty hearing, so we will be sending the presentation around, but certainly you can contact both Simon and myself to ask other questions. And then we've got here, what are your views on video interviewing?
It depends where it is in the process and what you're using it for, how you're using it. The video absolutely has a role to play in the recruitment process. I have no doubt about that. I personally don't enjoy using the platform. That's just me. I don't like looking at myself on video. If it's a two-way video and the stuff's being recorded, split up and sent out to various people, I think that's great. People can see my answers. If I'm being interviewed, various hiring managers can see the answers. I don't necessarily have to go over the same information multiple times. That's interesting. Where it gets really interesting is a platform like HireVue, who are doing facial recognition and AI and machine learning algorithms in the background to understand when someone's not necessarily being truthful or when they're uncomfortable or whatever it might be.
Okay.
And I believe it was HireVue. I may be wrong. I believe it was HireVue. They actually sort of flipped that on its head and looked at videoing the people who were the hiring manager.
Right.
And they were able to then identify inherent bias within them as they were going through and say that this person's kicking out people who are qualified because they don't like their gender or their religion or whatever it might be.
And is that being used in Australia here, HireVue? I don't know.
HireVue, yeah, the platform's available. It's a global platform. They're based out of the US, but it's absolutely a global platform. I think if you're doing it at volume for scale, then I would be talking to Sonru. If you're doing a two-way process, I'd be talking to Montage. If you're looking for some really interesting, funky stuff, I'd be talking to HireVue.
Okay, great. And I also got another one here, comes to the time, that can you suggest any e-recruitment system that actively uses AI for assessments?
As a whole system, I'm not sure of any that does it across the entire piece. I mean, you're really looking at the Mayas and the Olivias at that point. So they're taking the sourcing, the screening, the interviewing, and putting the machine learning around that piece rather than the actual ATS. So I'm not sure I'm answering this question correctly. I'd love to understand exactly what you mean by that. There's an interesting platform based out of Israel called CoMeet.
CoMeet?
Yeah.
Okay.
So like Comet with an extra E. So CoMeet.
Okay.
They don't necessarily have machine learning over the top, but what they do is they're changing the process so that everyone's being brought in from the organization at different times, and it's sort of clever algorithms that are making that work. So there's a couple of people playing at it from different angles. I don't know of anyone who's actually got just a standard ATS that runs machine learning all the way through it.
Okay, but we've got time for one more question, and then I just want to talk about our next webinar, which will do better, I think, for the sound, which was a question I saw about here about Google and Facebook. I think it was.
Yes.
Oh, okay. So did you see that question? I've just lost it now. I think it was about like how some big startups, whether it be Google or Microsoft, have already built bias in or something. What do you think about that, or something like that? Sorry, I can't find it.
Yeah, so that's where you've got the developer without meaning to, absolutely without meaning to, as they're creating the code, if they don't have a true understanding or the experience to understand why they're cutting people out, or why these biases may be creeping in, that's a huge issue. And that's my biggest concern right now, is the fact that people pick up something new and shiny because we're humans, we like a shiny toy. And if someone says, you've got a little bit of money, go out and play, or you've got a lot of money, go out and play, find a new thing, throw it in the process, you're going to go and find something new and exciting and shiny. At the heart of that shiny is a black box. And that IP that's held in that black box, the way the developers have created it and programmed it, if we don't run that in parallel with other tests to understand where people are being pulled out, why they're not having a great experience, whatever it may be, if we just trust it and we run with it, that's potentially really dangerous, because it just feeds the algorithm itself. It starts matching again.
Yep.
And if it matches and it's not finding people who are born in Scotland or that sort of thing, whatever it might be, however crazy it could be, once it starts repeating itself and learning off its model, it's not going to get the edges.
Yeah.
It's only going to get the center, and you're going to have that same problem amplified dramatically. And it's probably not by design. It's just they don't know.
No. Okay.
Yeah.
Right. Well, look, I think we're basically out of time. So how do people get hold of you, Simon?
Simon at 122.net is my email address, or 122.net online is that's where I live.
Okay, great. And look, we've got another webinar coming up, as you can see on the screen, on the 18th of April. We've got another guest. Look, I swear that's not a chatbot, like Giglielmo, but he's from a doctor, in fact, Giglielmo. He's from the Behavioural Insights team, which is all about behavioural economics, okay? How little changes in processes can have a big effect, okay? Which on sourcing is huge. So I think you said you're very keen to see that as well.
Absolutely.
So look, that'll be, and that's all about affecting diversity as well. So that'll be on April 18. Hope to see you there. Please contact myself, Raife at adzuna.com.au, R-A-I-F-E, or Simon, and we're very happy to chat, and we'll send out also a copy of this, and apologies for some people that had a sound problem. Thanks again.
Thank you.